to day 21 of the 30-day 30 tutorial challenge. This is where I learn something new every day, create something sexy, and make a video tutorial on it. Now, every day is a bit of an exaggeration since I have been slacking a little bit, and also because the topics I'm about to address in the next coming days are getting harder and harder. And one of these topics is 360 filmmaking. Now, this is a topic I've been putting off for years. I first got my VR camera 3 years ago, shot one video, and quickly lost a 360 camera in Japan. And then I bought the Fusion 360 a year ago, and it was a bit too daunting, so I decided to take a VR film course sponsored by the Leipzig Tourism Board, and they flew me out to Leipzig and I spent a week learning 360 filmmaking. This is what we made. It's about 5 shots, all on a boat, and the video is just about 1 minute long. Guess how much effort this video took? It took us about a week of staying inside of a room, editing, rendering, and stitching from morning to night with a team of 3 people, and one of them is our teacher, and he's one of the top VR filmmakers in the world. So 360 is pretty daunting. And after that 1 week, I was like, man, I ain't got time for 360. Even if it was with a GoPro Fusion 360, I had shoots in Spain, Italy, Iceland, Mexico afterwards. I had no time to do a video with 360. But every once in a while, I get reminded of the reason why I bought the Fusion 360. And it's not to make 360 video. The reason why I bought the 360 Fusion camera was because of this amazing video here. This was a passion project by 2 people only. Look at these crazy camera movements and crazy transitions. I believe the Fusion 360 holds some of the most insane, undiscovered, or yet to be popularized camera movements and transitions that would look amazing on a 16:9 cinematic aspect ratio. And you know what? The GoPro Fusion 360 has auto stitching. It doesn't take a week to render. In fact, it just takes a few minutes sometimes. And it has 5.2K resolution, so only a little step down compared to what we used in Leipzig. But is it worth it to get into GoPro Fusion 360 as a way of creating cinematic footage in a 16:9 aspect ratio? Is it worth your time? Well, in that video with the snowboarding, that took 2 months of editing. So that's how far you could go with it, and this is how far I went with it in 1 day. This is something I shot from Spain a couple months ago, but it's actually the first time I've edited my footage from the GoPro Fusion 360.
What a crazy Spanish festival. It's time to dive in.
Pretty impressed with the way it came out and how little time it took. I'm going to give a brief tutorial on what I did and how to get started with the GoPro Fusion 360. It's always a mouthful to say. And then I'll conclude with my final thoughts. Alright, first things first, import all your files from your SD card, both front and back, onto your computer. Make sure not to just drag the MP4 file. All the files are needed. Next, let's open up GoPro Fusion Studio app to stitch the front and back together. If you don't have the app, go ahead and download it. I'm going to provide the link in the description below. When you're downloading the app, make sure you download the plugins that come with it too. Alright, let's open up Fusion Studio. So you could also import your files straight from the Fusion 360 camera. I'm importing it through my computer. Select the folder where your files are and GoPro will bring it out. Mariah's naked in that clip, so I'm going to blow that one out. Let's select the clips you want to render. Since I want to save time, I want to render as little as possible, so I'm going to go ahead and set in and out points so I can render that segment specifically. To set those points, press I to set your in point and press O to set your out point. You can adjust the yaw, pitch, and roll to make your footage look good, but you'll also be able to do some of that in post and Premiere. Under these settings here, you could also color correct. I would go ahead and choose a flat profile and do all the color correcting in Premiere, which is a more powerful software. Alright, let's go ahead and bring these clips into Premiere. This is my timeline from when I edited the fire run that you guys saw earlier. Under Effects, go search GoPro VR Reframe and drag that effect onto the clip that you want to apply it to. So you see all those keyframes? Those are all keyframes I used adjusting the GoPro VR Reframe effect. I was mainly adjusting them to follow the action. I definitely put a lot of keyframes there because I got a little carried away with it. However, one of the cool things that you could do is you could set these whip pan transitions anytime you want. To create a whip pan transition, set two keyframes close to each other, maybe 5 or 10 frames, and have a drastic change in the yaw. And then do that same thing for the clip that you want to transition into. Just make sure that between the two clips, the change in yaw is about the same so that the speed of turning is about the same. To make the transition a little bit smoother, I added a motion blur effect. To do that, you want to create an adjustment layer, drag it on top, and adjust the duration to how much you want the blur to last. Next, under Effects, type in Directional Blur and drag that effect right onto the adjustment layer. Blur length will change the power of the blur, and direction changes direction. So there you go. Pretty much any transition you could do normally, you could also do with the 360 footage here. For example, in the last tutorial we talked about hyperlapses, and I did the same thing here. So I right clicked and clicked Replace with After Effects Composition. I can link you to the full tutorial. And that's basically what I did. The rest of the magic is up to you. Any crazy effect, any crazy transition that you see elsewhere could be applied to this 360 footage. There's just so much untouched creativity yet to be explored, yet to be played around with the Fusion 360.
Come on.
Holy I hope you learned something from this video. I hope you're more excited about the camera and playing around with 360 footage for cinematic 16:9 sequences. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow, hopefully, for another tutorial.